Hi, welcome out to the episode. My name's Kim. I'm a licensed and nationally certified Chinese medical provider, and I'm a Taoist practitioner. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about how do you remove phlegm from your body. And if you've been watching the episodes recently, you've noticed that phlegm can be a really big issue with long haulers. And so what I've noticed is that it takes a little bit more effort to get that out. So let's say phlegm's a problem anyways, and now you have to spend even more effort to get that out. So what might you be feeling if you have a lot of phlegm in your body? The big one, brain fog, tinnitus. Suddenly you've gotten tinnitus or the skin rashes. All of that can be signs of phlegm. So let's talk about what we can do to eliminate phlegm in the body. Food is the key way to heal yourself, right? And I think more and more of us are starting to realize that food's super important. Well, every food has healing properties. And in Chinese medicine, there's a whole bunch of herbs. Do you know some of those herbs are also foods? So guess what? I am going to use one of the herbs that we use in Chinese medicine. It's also a food. And it's called, in Chinese medicine, it's called Yi Yi Ren. And then the American name is Job's Tears. You can find it online. You can find them in some of the Asian markets. And so let me tell you a little bit about Job's Tears. Are you wondering why I'm looking at Job's Tears? Well, let me tell you why. It's because Job's Tears, what it does is it helps drain all that extra fluid out of your body. So all that stuff sitting in your head, all that brain fog, all that tinnitus, that fluid, that poofiness that you're sporting all over your body, swelling in your hands, swelling in your legs, it helps eliminate that out of your body. So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to use something that's pretty strong at eliminating all that excess fluid that we've been building up. When they first were importing Job's Tears to the United States from Asia, they couldn't tell the difference between what it was, and it looked like a grain that we have here in the United States. It looked like pearl barley. So pearl barley is the hulless barley. And so it looked just like pearl barley. And so they called it Chinese pearl barley, which that's super creative. Yet what made it that difficult for me is when I was looking for this stuff like 8 years ago, I couldn't tell the difference between Chinese pearl barley and pearl barley. So here I'm going to show you how you can tell the difference between these two. And first we're going to look at Job's Tears. And then let's look at barley. And they kind of look exactly the same, right? How do you really tell the difference? So let's look at these on a penny, and hopefully that will help you see a little bit difference, and you can identify if you're getting pearl barley or if you're getting Job's Tears. So I used a penny. And so putting both the pearl barley on it and putting the Job's Tears on it, Job's Tears is literally about twice the size of barley. So it's a much bigger grain, and it actually isn't any type of barley. So if we look at what barley looks like this. This is barley. And in the field, this is barley. Job's Tears doesn't look like that at all. It's actually like this green plant that spreads out, and then it has these little seeds on it that drop from it like apples. So it's kind of like this really miniature apple tree that's green and has these round leaves. So totally different, not anything like barley. But when they're first being imported, they were called Chinese pearl barley. So you can get these at Asian markets, or you can get them online. And, if you're just starting out with ordering this, or if you're just starting out trying to use this in meals, get it online, because then you don't have to deal with the confusion of, did I just buy barley or is this really Job's tears? Let me show you what I did. I started out with a recipe from Once Upon a Chef. And if you're curious about the recipes that I use, if I'm using someone's recipe as a base and I'm going to modify it, I always save them on in my Pinterest boards. And so you can go out into my Pinterest and go into my saved foods and you can find the original recipe. What's prompted me to go this route is I was looking for a grain. So I knew I wanted to use yi ren. And so I wanted to find a salad that was a little bit hearty, a little bit heavier than the salads that I've been eating in the summer because we're going into fall. So I was cruising the web and I found this great recipe and I used this as my base. Now, on Once Upon a Chef, they used barley. And instead of just using barley, I used 3 grains. And I used my pearl barley, I used my Job's tears, and then I used wheat berries. And I love all these grains. I really think they're very similar. I made a couple other modifications based on what I had in the pantry. So I didn't have golden raisins. I had regular raisins, no pomegranate, but I have this great jam that I made. And I replaced the pomegranate molasses with just regular molasses. The barley is now barley, Job's tears, and wheat berries. I didn't use any of the nuts and seed section of this either. Are you interested in the healing properties of these foods? Okay, let me tell you a little bit about what each one of these foods is going to do in the salad for you. So let's start with the things that were most important to me. And that's going to be the grains. So I wanted to use Job's tears because that's going to drain all those fluids. And what I wanted to do with this meal is I wanted to eliminate all those toxins in the body. And then I also wanted to add in some things that would help tonify. So let's start out again. Let's look at the grains. And the yi ren, that's about eliminating toxins, right? Because it's going to remove the damp phlegm. And then I added in pearl barley. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes, you know pearl barley, what that does too is that's a cool food and it helps eliminate all these toxins in your stomach. So if you're experiencing heartburn or acid reflux or stomach upset, pearl barley might be the ticket for you. And then I added in wheat berries. I really like wheat berries. And what I like about wheat berries is that's the tonifying part. It helps rebuild yin, so it's really nutritious. Now, let me touch base on a couple of the other things in this recipe. So if we look at the cilantro, it's kind of like barley. It's cooling and it helps eliminate toxins. And the other one that I was really interested in was the molasses. And molasses, that helps rebuild the body. That is so nutritious. So that's another really good one for yin. Ready to start putting this together? I started cooking the grains first because the grains were going to take the longest amount of time. Now, there's something really similar about these grains. Every one of these grains takes 1 part grain to 3 parts water. So pretty simple to remember that. I cooked some of them on the stove and some of them on the in the Instapot because I wanted to keep all their flavors really separate. I didn't want those flavors mixed until I got them in the salad. So let's see here. Starting out with the Job's tears. I did the Job's tears on the stove. And so you want to put your Job's tears in a pot and you want to bring that pot to boil and then bring it down to a simmer for 20-30 minutes. I check it because I like my grains just a little bit crunchy, so I would check them and make sure that they had enough of a crunch. I don't like mushy grains. And then after the Job's tears, I did the wheat berries. I did the wheat berries in an Instapot. And you might have seen my recipe on making a chicken bone broth. And I had some chicken bone broth. I make it every other week or so. So I had some chicken bone broth, and I used that with the wheat berries because the wheat berries are hearty anyways. And then adding in that bone broth, that just added in more nutrition with the salad. And so then after the wheat berries, the last one I did was a pearl barley, and that was 1 to 3. I just watched it. I did that on the stove. And by doing it that way, I could cook them all at the same time. And it took about 30 minutes or so to cook all the grains. You did the hard part. Everything from here is going to be really easy because all you're going to do is measure all your ingredients and you're going to put them in little containers. At least that's what I do to make it easy to mix everything together. And then after that, you're just going to do a little bit of chopping. You're going to chop up your cilantro, you're going to chop up your green onions, and then we're going to combine everything together and have a beautiful salad. 2 of the ingredients I'm going to leave to the side. That's going to be the feta cheese and the green onions. But I started out first by mixing the 3 grains, the cilantro, and the raisins. And after those were combined, then I switched and I mixed all the rest of the ingredients together. And you have to whip the molasses and the olive oil together really good to get those 2 to combine. I poured those over the salad, and then I moved it to a plate where I added in the feta cheese and the green onions. Now, in the original recipe, they wanted a pomegranate. They wanted to use pomegranate seeds. Well, no pomegranates right now. So I was really lucky. I had a jam. So any kind of berry jam you can use. I had this blackberry jam that I had just canned the other day, just canned the day before. And I did something really neat because blackberries are a super mild berry. And what I did was I was actually pickling rhubarb. And so I was tasting the pickle juice and I was tasting the blackberries, and I'm like, you know, that berry is so mild. I bet I can use this pickling spice on my blackberries. So that's what I did. And I added in about a tablespoon of vinegar with that. So now this was just a small recipe because, you know, I was just trying it out, seeing if it would work, but it did. So I canned 4 pints and I used it. I saturated it. I let it soak in the pickling spices for about 15 minutes, added in just a little bit of vinegar to just bring a bigger bite to it, and then I canned that. So you know how pomegranates kind of have a little bit of a bite to them as a fruit? That, I think, is what enabled me to use my blackberry jam with the salad because it gave such a spice and a punch to those blackberries. So I added that on top of this, and that is the salad. There you have it. A wonderful recipe to help you drain that excess fluid, that phlegm, that dampness that might be causing you brain fog or all sorts of other health issues. And not only does it help you eliminate all that dampness, it also helps rebuild your body. So 2 things or 1 salad. Now, oh, you know what? There's one other thing I should tell you. What happens if you eat too much of Job's tears? Well, you know, Job's tears, what it's doing is it's draining out excess fluids. And if you eat too much of it, that means it's going to drain out too many fluids, and it's going to show up as really dry skin, which none of us want, right? And the first place that it's going to show up is on your right foot. So that day when you wake up and you go, oh, my right foot is really dry. Now, if your foot already has dry skin, imagine it 10 times worse. So if you eat too much of this, the first signs is going to be dry skin on your right foot, and that's because the bladder channel goes down all the way to the foot. Okay, so what would I suggest is if you're going to use Job's tears, only use it once or twice a week. Don't use it every day. That's way too much. Okay, here's to you, hoping you get healthier, that you get better health, and until next time, guess what? I will catch you on the other side.